Last one, fact or fiction number 7. Is a plant-based whole food diet the safest, most sustainable way to lose weight for the long term? So I got to define what that is, just so you guys know what I'm talking about. A plant-based whole food diet is a diet that is primarily composed of plants, which we all know what those are, right? Whole food means that they're unrefined, okay? So it means there's not a lot of milling, there's not a lot, the same thing, not a lot of bad crap added, not a lot of good stuff taken away from them. Doesn't mean that on these diets, these people don't eat any meat or any dairy. It just means that that's not the primary source of what they're eating, okay? We all good with the definition? Okay. All right, so what do you guys think? Fact or fiction, is that been shown to be the most successful long-term weight loss strategy? Please circle your answers in your sheets. Okay. All right. So that one is a fact. And I have seen that one borne out time and time and time again. You know, anybody that typically follows more of those diet strategies that are the fad diets, I almost inevitably see them gain their weight back. They usually end up in a worse scenario than they were before. You know, so I always think it's like, hey, just bite the bullet and start eating real food and good foods for your body. Because not only is that the diet that is going to help you with that long-term weight loss, but it is also going to be the healthiest diet for most individuals to be on. I mean, we're all individuals. Some people are affected differently in the diets that they do, but in general, that is going to be the healthiest thing that you can do. Now, why does that work? Why does eating whole food plant-based stuff work versus eating a bunch of bacon and eggs and doing the ketogenic approach? The reasons that we already talked about. So many of these plants and vegetables are not very dense in calories, okay? So like if you eat a big old bowl of salad, you know, there's just not many calories there, but yet it fills up your body. Or, you know, you can eat a gigantic thing of broccoli, you know, and it's gonna fill you up, which is part of why you're never hungry on these types of diets. We already talked about the ability to absorb calories. So if you're eating a lot of fibrous food, it is going to be less absorbed by your body. So many of those calories aren't going to be sucked into your system, causing blood sugar spikes and fat storage and all that other stuff. And I also think that you're feeding your body what it really needs. So you are not micronutrient starved. You know, all these people that are so concerned about how much protein they're getting, they're like tracking it in their book, or how much fat they're doing, or avoiding all carbohydrate. They're not looking at all the other things that are in these foods that you need to be eating. Like, you know, all the things in like a blueberry, like they haven't even figured out what's in that thing yet. They know some of the stuff, but there are a gazillion different things that are inside of a blueberry that you actually need in your body. You're not getting that if you're eating a bunch of processed food, because all that stuff's been taken out. It's been thrown away, you know? So you're feeding yourself what you really need. And I like that you're not micronutrient starved while being macronutrient stuffed, okay? Which is what we do on the other diets. Typically, these diets are a little bit lower in fat. We're not demonizing fat, but fat should be in a normal proportion, and you shouldn't even be really concerned about it, because if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, you really don't have to worry that much. You can just eat the foods, and the magic happens, and they're higher in fiber. Okay, so the tip for this one is, I would love it if you guys would educate yourselves on how important a whole food plant-based diet is, eating strategy. The book that I utilized for this talk is this one, How Not to Diet by Dr. Greger. Really, really cool book. I don't know if I recommend reading it because it's really long. It's a really long book. Dr. Greger has an app that's free that you can download on your phone. The app is called The Daily Dozen. So if you download that, it's the coolest app. On that app, it has a checklist of all the foods that you should be eating. So everybody should have some nuts in a course of a day. Everyone should have 1 or 2 pieces of fruit in the course of a day. Everyone should have some leafy greens in the course of a day. Everyone should have some beans in the course of a day. You know, so it has all these things, and you just check them off. These little check boxes. Boop, 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 boop. You check them off as you're going through your day. And usually how I integrate with people for weight loss or fat loss is I tell them, You have to check off every one of Dr. Greger's boxes, and then you can eat whatever you want after that. And they never eat anything bad because they've stuffed themselves with so much good food, okay? And then everything starts to change. They start to feel better because all the physiological effects of having all those foods that integrate with your body the way they're supposed to. Their gut biome starts to heal and transform, which affects all other kinds of things in their body. It's so fun to watch that transformation. I've seen people become non-diabetic doing that. I've seen people lose 100 pounds doing that. I mean, it's really cool. Even Dale here at the gym switched to that type of diet. Do you guys? No, I shouldn't make fun of anybody. He always has a question for me every time I walk in the door. He's like, Ben. But Dale has done really well on that diet. I never thought he would switch to that. He looked like a meat and potatoes guy to me. So if you get another thing out of this, you take a look at that, incorporating some of those food types into your diet. Has anybody here read the Blue Zones? Are you familiar with what the Blue Zones are? Oh, you have the book? You got the book. It's a great book. The Blue Zones, it's a book about the different zones in the world where people have a tendency to live past 100 years old. So Okinawa is one, Loma Linda, California is one. They're all over the world. And then they try to look at what commonalities these people have that live these extended lifespans, where all these people are living to be 100 or more, or being 100 years old is not unusual in these communities. So there were some dietary things. The only thing that was in every single one of the zones, though, was bean consumption. All of those people ate beans. I used to hate beans, the magical fruit. I've incorporated. I found that I actually do like chickpeas, and I do like black beans, and they're delicious. And there's something to possibly incorporate into your diet if possible. Because beans are this wonderful blend of fiber and a little bit of protein, fats, and carbohydrate. There's tons of other good things in beans too. So yeah. So then that's on Dr. Greger's list too. You got to check. I think it's one or two servings of beans a day. Dr. Greger, on that very same app, there's another little thing you can check over, and he calls it 21 Tweaks, and it's all of the weight loss tips that he has in his book are all little tweaks in there. So if you don't feel like reading this book, you can just download that app, and he has explanations of why you should eat each of those different categories of food, and he also has explanations, real short explanations of why you should do those tweaks, why they work, and you don't have to do all of them. You can just do some of them, incorporate one or two. And then incorporate more. One other final thing I want to say before I want to open it up to questions. There's also an excellent book that he wrote. It's called How Not to Diet, the Cookbook. So that's a great little book where it has tons of whole food plant-based recipes that you can utilize. It also has a real quick summary of his information at the front. So another great way to get some of that information without having to read a 500-page book. So that cookbook is great. Many people, everybody here cook their own meals in their house? Most of you guys do? Okay. So you guys have an advantage because you can just change what you're cooking. A lot of people don't have time to cook tons of meals. Like Jess, you might be, and you're working a ton, you may not have quite as much time to do that. Some different products that I have found really healthy that fit a whole food plant-based type of situation. Daily Harvest. Is anyone doing Daily Harvest at all? It's a food service. They come in these little bowls. They have all kinds of different things you can get, but it's all really yummy, really good whole food plant-based nutrition that ships right to your doorstep. I don't have any stock in these companies, so I'm just recommending because what's it? All dried? No, the Daily Harvest comes frozen, so it's all frozen, which is really cool because then I think it's a little more fresh. I feel like it probably is the better out of these two, in my opinion. So that one comes frozen. And then you just either put it in the microwave. It comes in a little microwavable thing. You can microwave them. And they have all kinds of different stuff on their website. This is actually a product from Dr. Greger, and it's called Leafside. The cool thing about these is there is no processed sugar. There are no oils added. It's all whole food plant-based nutrition. Each one of these things check off almost every single checkpoint on his list. So you're getting beans, flaxseed, all kinds of crap in these. They travel. So you can take these with you if you're traveling and you don't want to eat the crap food where you're going. So I do that all the time. I'll have a couple of these packed in my bag. You can make these in a hotel room. I make these in... You got to go to the Leafside website.
Oh,
So Leafside, yeah. They're super easy to make too, and it takes 2 seconds. It's called Leafside.
leaf?
Leafside, yeah, like a leaf.
Okay. And you're just adding water?
Yeah, it's so you basically you have a bowl, you pour in the dried ingredients, which are dehydrated. I use one of these, it's one of these heater pot thingies, and then I just pour the boiling water in. It takes like 2 seconds. This heats up on the little thingamajobber, and then it sits for 10 minutes. It rehydrates, it beefs back up, and it looks just like the real food.
Are
So
they gluten-free?
some of them are, and some of them aren't. So it just depends. There's more gluten-free in this company, but this one certainly has that as well. So